I am Iron Man.
You serious?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another superhero movie type video. So today we're reviewing something new, but today it's going to be the usuals of Christian Hopkins and
Jonah Morgan.
And today we have a special guest. So if you would like to introduce yourself, please go ahead.
Hi guys, I'm Finn, aka SokkaStyle. Christian messaged me a few days ago. I guess we're gonna talk My Hero. Super excited. Let's go.
Yep, and you guys will definitely know Finn from the Escape Pod podcast. He is the guy who makes all the brackets that they do throughout multiple episodes. Some of the best segments of the podcast for sure. So it's a true honor to have you on here, Finn.
Thank you so much. I brought a bracket for us to do later. So
yeah, so that's gonna be a future video. So stay tuned for that. Mm-hmm. But today we're going to be talking about, we're going to be jumping a little out of order, but today we're going to be talking about the newest movie in My Hero Academia with the Your Next movie, which is the fourth one.
Yes.
So, where would we like to start with this film?
Oh gosh. Well, okay, I'm a sub and dub watcher, so I saw it twice. Have you seen it once or twice?
We've only seen it once in dub.
You've seen it once in dub? Okay. So, here's what I'm going to just say off the bat. When I came out of this movie, I was like, this is incredible. It's on par with Heroes Rising.
Yeah, that he did.
And then I saw it a second time, and I was like, okay, I think I was a little too high on it. I think it's more on par with Two Heroes. But it's still incredible. Here is the one thing, and I have no problem if you like sub. I have no problem if you like dub. I do think the sub is better, and I'll get into that later. Just want to throw that out there right now.
All right. Mm-hmm. But it'll be nice to have a kind of a dichotomy of we only watch dub, but since you watch sub, we can really cover all the bases with this film.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
So, I think one of the main things I want to start off with is, let's start off with animation here.
Yeah, I think that near the beginning of it, like kind of throughout, it's a little choppy in parts. But it makes up for it at the end. Like, the ending has some of the best animation I've ever seen in My Hero. I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. Like, what are we doing here? This is cool.
The first thing I noticed about the animation is this movie utilizes 3D a lot. This movie does a lot of 3D animation. And I enjoy it because it's the same exact thing they did with Attack on Titan Season 4, where the Titans became 3D instead of 2D. It gives another layer to it. And I do understand it's a little bit jarring to like some things are 3D, some things are 2D. I enjoy it personally, but I definitely see the other side of that.
Personally,
I understand what you.
I'm sorry. No, you're good. One thing that I mainly made a comparison to for that is not just Attack on Titan. Is I know I talked to you about this, Jonah. I've seen about 20 episodes of Demon Slayer. It heavily reminded me of that. Because there's several moments I've noticed in that show, just from the point I'm up to, where they'll sometimes have the characters being 3D, mainly when something big is happening, and it looks like this movie very much did that, and I thought it looked really cool. Again, I talked to you, Jonah, I've got my problems with Demon Slayer, but overall the animation was something that show does absolutely amazingly. And I like that this movie ended up going for that approach as well.
That's a conversation for another time. Problems with Demon Slayer. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to you about that a little bit later. Good show.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you mean by the 3D. I think that the 3D that's used in Attack on Titan is actually used very well.
Yes.
I actually didn't think it was used incredibly well in this movie. I gotta be honest. Specifically when, I'm gonna get his name wrong. The dude with the eye patch and the arm, what was his name? Julio, every scene he's on the bike takes me out of it. It just looks too weird for me. I'm like this is like, what are we doing here? I literally, my review for the movie was My Hero X Full Metal X Akira, was literally my review for the movie. Because I was like, this is literally just a dude on an Akira bike who's fighting a dude that has alchemy-based powers that references the 7 deadly sins, which is something that bothered me in the dub because they don't make these references in the dub, and they make these references in the sub about Full Metal Alchemist. And I was like, dang, that really sucks for the dub.
I feel like it's a lot easier for them to do it in the sub because I feel like all that's a little bit more closer for that, so it's a lot easier for them to make that comparison, and they can because of how popular those shows are in Japan. I feel like they can make that, and everyone goes, Oh, yeah. I feel like people who still go to see dub here in America, a lot of people still get that because, you know, I mean, Fullmetal Alchemist is a really popular anime, so people would definitely see that. Even if they haven't seen the show, I haven't seen the show. I know of it.
Oh, you should.
Still.
It's peak.
You should one of my buddies has been trying to get me to watch it, which I'll probably end up giving it a shot at some point. But yeah, I remember you mentioning that particularly when you reviewed it the second time. You said you were disappointed they took that out of the dub, which I can understand. Yeah.
It's a small thing too, but it was just like, why is this so different? Like, I don't know. That was just an issue I had with it. But overall, I think big pros of this movie: animation for the most part is pretty stellar. The fight scenes are incredible.
They're fantastic.
I was like, holy shit! Like, let's go. I also just really loved Bakugo specifically in this movie, mainly because I was like, this dude is a team leader. Like, this dude knows what's up. He's like, we're going to do this. You guys go here. You guys go here. Everyone else come with me. I was like, this guy knows what is up. Like,
and he picks Todoroki and Tokoyami to go with him. He's like, we're going to get the three strongest of us, and we're going to go mess stuff up.
Exactly. It's just like...
For sure. I completely get what you're saying.
Yeah, no.
He has he's got the... Because that's one thing that he's grown in so much in the show is leadership. But he also kept that arrogance, and he shows that in that one scene. He's arrogant, but he does it in like a smart way. He leads. It was really good.
Yeah. Talking about Bakugo, it was just so nice to see him in action because he's been in the show. He's currently dead,
out of commission.
So
shot is still inside of him, if I remember correctly.
I remember like when that episode came out, I texted Christian and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah,
like,
no, you said
I went on like a 5-week hiatus after that. I was like, I can't continue this show because like I could not believe they had the balls to do that. I was like,
right after the scene where he like instant transmissions right in front of.
I was just like, oh, this show is finally doing what I want them to do, but I need to take a step back.
But getting back to the movie, one of the other characters I really want to talk about is, before going through the rest of the main, I feel like we could talk about Class 1A as a whole because it's, I'd say of all the movies, Heroes Rising still does the best in terms of dividing up like everybody having something major to do. Whereas here, it's not as much. It doesn't bother me that much, but it's enough where it's fine to talk about all of them at one time because the main ones that get a lot are obviously Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki, and a couple other members here and there. But everyone else we can kind of talk about at once because I still think they're all handled really well in this movie.
I think they're all extremely utilized, which I really love seeing. I love Lemillion so much. Anytime he shows up, I'm like, yay. He's just the best. He's so cool.
Christian, how do I feel about Lemillion?
He is one of, if not your favorite character.
Of all time?
My favorite episode of the entire... Well, no, in the show. My favorite episode of the entire show is the episode titled Lemillion where he fights Overhaul.
I love that episode.
Of the entire show. I adore Lemillion. His voice actor being able to do the cheery thing and then being able to do like the yelling and stuff. He's such a well-written character. But whenever he pops up, that's a good point. Like he pops up like upside down underneath the base. He pops every single time he pops up. You can't not smile.
Yeah. So then, just because we're kind of ranking things here, just out of curiosity, if you were to rank the 4 My Hero movies, how would you rank them?
Christian, you go first. I'll go second.
Really quick, let's actually save that for the very end when we get to talk about our final scores for the movie. Because
no worries.
I haven't in my mind, but I think that'll be a good place for the last thing to talk about. But
of course,
there's not much else to say in terms of the rest of Class A in this movie, other than they're all utilized extremely well. One of the other characters I want to talk about is just rounding out Class 1A's members. Is we talked about Bakugo. I want to talk about a little bit of Todoroki because he's runner-up for my favorite character in the entire series. And
he's my favorite character in the entire series.
Yeah, I mean, there was a recent episode that really dang near almost made him number 1, if he's not number 1 already. But, I mean, I think he just...
Wait till this finale!
Yeah, but for this movie, he doesn't have anything like super like character moment standing out aside from he had a really sad moment of when we see what he's dreaming of.
That's beautiful. I
so
thought that was
sad,
beautiful.
dude.
Heartbreaking.
Well, the thing that I loved so much is that like when Endeavor has that dream in the series,
he's always not there.
Toya's not there. And then whenever Toya has that dream in the series, Shoto's not there. When Shoto has this dream, literally every single one of them are there. And I was like, and he doesn't have his scar. And I was like, this is like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Yeah. This is great.
Shoto has probably my favorite moment in the entire movie is his back-to-back that he has with Bakugo.
Dude,
when they go back-to-back, that's my favorite. Like the final fight is so good, but that's my favorite because those two,
them like figuring that out is so good.
Icy Hot and what's his full name?
Great Explosion, Murder God, Dynamite.
I just call him Dynamite.
It sounds cooler.
Dynamite is like actually like a sick name because it pays homage to All Might, and I'm like, that's cool. For sure. But like the Great
yeah, their back-to-back moment's probably my favorite moment in the entire movie, and oh my gosh, it's so so good because the combination of their powers is like just visually is stunning, especially Shoto.
You know what? Now that we're talking about these fights, though, I have to talk about a bit of a corny moment.
Go ahead.
Deku just throwing out a bunch of smashes I thought was corny.
I loved it.
It was cool. 10 in a row. No, it was cool, but like I was like, okay, we get it. You're naming the states now. Shut up. Like I was kind of.
But then he says St. Louis too. He's not even just doing states. He gets to cities too.
Well, yeah, but of course, like you got St. Louis, you got Detroit, you got like one other one or something. I don't know. I just thought it was like, okay, this is cool, but like,
probably my favorite moment in the movie.
My thing with that is, I think I would rather see one like United States of Smash.
We got it in the last movie, so that's why it didn't happen.
And it was awesome.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I think I would rather get one big punch than, how many did you do? Like, probably like 10, 15.
He did like 15. I think the funniest thing was the somebody like put the music over like a Joe Biden rally where he's just naming states. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, this is peak. This is incredible. That was funnier to me than him just naming the smashes during the movie. I was like, that's actually incredible. Like
that's
somebody's
thought
about. This is cinema.
Like, oh, it was so good.
Oh, goodness gracious. But no, that was honestly probably my favorite moment in the entire movie. It was corny, but I thought it was sick because it was always like he's doing specific moves. It's not just, he's just yelling them out while throwing punches. He does different moves, like Detroit smashes a punch, Texas smashes a little bit like a right hook.
Remix is also really good there.
Oh my gosh, I was saying to my little brother Lucas, I was like, let me hear you say run, please. And then it was this remix of it, which like every other time we hear the you say run, which I think is
same one.
Incredible regardless. I have no problem hearing the same one. But when we started hearing a different one, I was just going, this is awesome.
Yeah, because you knew it was going to be there at some point because they're not going to go like an epic episode in the series or a movie without having that. That's why I think having it remixed, I really, really liked. Rather than just the one we've heard.
Yeah, because if it's not You Say Run, it's going to be the Might plus You thing. Because Heroes Rising didn't have You Say Run, but when it had Bakugo and Deku both using One for All, it had that music.
Might plus You is so good.
It's such a good piece of music, dude. But tying into that...
they've only used it 3 times, and every time they've used it, I'm like, this is incredible. Just like...
Because when they use it, it's like...
Yeah, it's like super emotional.
It makes me cry every single time.
Yeah, but talking about the last main character with Deku, it's obviously main character is going to talk a lot, but I think also with it being the first time talking about him on this channel, it's personally, as of this very moment, Deku's probably my favorite character. For the first couple seasons of the show, it was Todoroki, and then season 3 happened with an early episode where that was probably the moment where I was like, yeah, it's that episode where I went, Deku's probably my favorite, and he's kind of stuck around as being my favorite for a long time, which is why I never really understood. I say a long time. It was a few months. I watched this show for the first time, like back in April.
Here's the thing that I really liked about this movie, is it felt like an ensemble piece.
Yes.
The other ones don't feel like that. Like two heroes feels like a it's somewhat of an ensemble piece, but like it mainly follows Deku and it like follows All Might as well.
And like a smaller
Heroes Rising.
Group.
Yes, Heroes Rising. You got basically Deku and Bakugo, and then the third one you get the three of them plus the new one. You get Shoto, you get Bakugo, you get Deku, and then the new character, I forgot his name, but he has a little bird on him.
Rhodey.
And then sorry?
Rhodey, yeah.
And then in this one, like, I felt like everybody had a chance to shine. Yes, we're focusing on these, like, our main characters with Deku, with Bakugo, with Shoto, more. But, like, you're actually getting stuff with these other characters, which I really liked. And that's why this one felt like way more of an ensemble piece, and it was like, okay, like we actually need to work together to take this dude down, which I thought was awesome.
That's fair. I might have to slightly disagree on that because I feel like Heroes Rising probably does that a tiny bit better, if only because, one, not all of Class A is here in this movie because Aoyama's nowhere to be seen. Granted, chronologically when this movie takes place, it makes sense why he's not there, but
yes.
I think because in Heroes Rising, every hero gets a moment with fighting one of the big bads. It's not just fighting crooks, it's them all fighting. Like, Tokoyami and Ashido are fighting the needle hair lady. Todoroki, Ida, Kirishima, and Asui are fighting the big dude. And then everybody else is trying to fight against Nine. We'll talk about that more because we're going to definitely be doing reviews of the other movies because they're all great. But I do agree this one does it exceedingly well, and I would put it just barely under Heroes Rising, but I think I still would give that a little bit more of an edge in terms of that ensemble, is because I felt like everybody got something in that film, whereas here, everybody did, but I felt like in terms of fighting a lot of the big bads, it was primarily only a small handful of them, like Deku, Todoroki, and all them.
Totally, I can fully give you that. That's fair.
But no, I think all the character writing is handled very well in this movie. In terms of the villains, I think, because it's with the crime family, and it primarily focuses on the fact that this villain is an evil All Might, Dark Might.
I thought that was awesome.
I liked it quite a bit.
I loved the European, like, mob boss family. I was like, this is awesome. I had two friends say that was the worst thing they've ever seen, and I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine.
It's not the best. I do think 9 is a better villain, but...
Yeah,
Dark Might's up
better
there.
Villain.
It's just so funny that the very first scene of the movie, you can clearly tell. You're like, wait, that's All Might's voice. Because
I love that it's the voice actor. That's great.
He does a great job. He does a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
But he has the mask on, so you can't see the hair, obviously. But he's watching that clip, and it's just it's clear that it's his voice, but it's like slightly. He does a very good job. I really like. They made it feel distinct from like All Might himself, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the villains were handled just so well in this film. All the heroes I thought were handled well. There weren't any characters that I just straight up did not like. Obviously, there were some characters I would have wished got a little bit more of a time to shine. Jonah, I know you feel the same way as well about some of your favorites, like Hawks. I know you wanted him to do more.
I love Hawks.
Hawks swoops in for no pun. Hawks swoops in for a little bit to help Tokoyami, but they kind of cut right after that.
Yeah.
Like, you get Tokoyami a bit, but then it cuts right after Hawk shows up. So and Lemillion is kind of kept to. I predicted it a little bit. I told them I could tell that Lemillion was probably going to be like kind of relegated to pedestrian patrol, which is kind of what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad they were there. I'll say that. I'm glad they were there.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with all of that.
Yeah, and we talked about a lot of the really big fights as well, but I want to also talk about the comedy. I think this is the funniest of the 4 movies. I don't know if you guys will agree with me on that, but there were several moments where I was like...
Here's the only reason I'm hesitant. I can't think of a single joke from this movie right now.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think it's... Yeah,
I understand what you're saying, because I did laugh quite a bit during this movie. But, like, I laughed harder in 2 Heroes when he's, like, getting nervous around Melissa. Like, that is hilarious to me.
Yeah, no.
Like, I maybe just need to see it again because, like, I just literally cannot remember a single joke right now, but...
There is mostly just some funny moments. Like, one thing that had me and Luke really laughing was when he's sliding down the tube.
My crotch is hilarious.
I'm sliding down crotch first. It's like... I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, this should not be making me laugh this much, and maybe I just have the mind of a 5-year-old.
In the sub, it's literally just him yelling "my crotch," and I thought that was hysterical. I was like, "This is great."
No, the dub, he literally yells, "I'm sliding down crotch first."
Down crotch. No, in the I'm not. I obviously don't speak Japanese, but like in the subtitles for the sub, it was just "my crotch." I just started losing it. I was
like some of these moments I know shouldn't be making me laugh this much, but I was like, maybe I'm just got that much of a mind of a kid. I don't know, but the funny moments just work.
I think the physical comedy in this movie is great. Like when Deku just starts like when Julio just starts pushing him and like he just starts running really fast. Like that's really funny to me. I think the physical comedy is much better than the actual comedy in this movie.
Yeah. But no, I quite enjoyed all that.
You haven't talked a ton about Julio and Anna.
I think these are the best movie exclusive side characters of all 4 movies. Yeah. I think these 2 are the best, and I really don't think it's close.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Which one, Julia or Anna? Do you have a problem with?
No, I don't have a problem with either of them. I don't think they're the best.
Right. What about Robbie?
Brody?
Brody?
Sorry, my bad.
Brody, he's probably my least favorite, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Okay.
Melissa?
Melissa, I think, is probably my favorite.
I
really like Melissa.
I'll take
that. And my reasoning for that is because of her history with All Might.
Fair.
Because I think there's more history there. Like it's somebody that's like actually like notable to like know. Whereas to these 2 characters, while I love them a lot, I felt like they were kind of just there.
That's fair.
Yeah, because Anna's power is there, but she herself is like in a trance the entire movie.
Yeah.
I think the backstory
Julio I thought
really
was dope, though. I was like, this dude's awesome. Like,
little handgun.
Yeah, no, he's really cool. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I think the backstory is what really sells me on these 2 characters and why they're my favorite. I would probably say Melissa is a close second for me because I do like that history and the fact that she does a lot throughout that movie. It doesn't ever feel useless. I would probably honestly have to say Rhodey's my third because I didn't honestly quite like Rhodey. I don't quite know why. I just found him enjoyable. And I would have to say...
I don't like the 2 kids.
Mamoru
I don't like them at all.
and...
I completely agree.
Yeah, the 2
I
kids.
don't like them at all.
The beginning,
and I love that movie, but I don't like them at all.
No, I love the movie, but at the beginning,
I like the little boy. I like the little boy. I don't like the little... Like, she...
Am I misremembering? Is the girl the one that can make, like, hallucination? Like, she can...
Yeah, I don't like her at all.
It's just...
She was just annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like one of those cases of... Like, yeah, she's being that protective older sister, but she just comes across as really annoying for the first half of the movie, and then she does get better by the end.
Yeager, Christian.
But it's just...
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you, though. Like, I get it. Like, I really like all of these, like, original characters for these movies. They're all really cool. Like, I don't have an issue with any of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I gotta be honest. Aside from the entire... I mean, we talked about how good the action is in this movie, but I do want to just reiterate how good the final, like, battle is in general, because...
I have one qualm about the final battle.
What's that?
It's incredible what is going on.
I completely agree. Yes, whenever, like, all the flashing colors, like, there's all the flashing colors and stuff, I leaned over to... We were seeing it with one of our buds, Keaton. I leaned over to him, I go, can you tell what's happening?
Yeah, and
cool
like,
looking, but there were so many flashing colors on screen. So.
I will be the first to admit I feel the same way about the 9 fight, but the 9 fight is so hype to me that I'm like, I don't care. This one's hype, but I still don't know what's going on.
The 9 fight, because what's going on screen, the 9 fight, I think it was, I was more okay with just random crap happening because there were 2 people on for all at the moment. And so, like, stuff was, you weren't going to be able to see what they were doing. But, yeah, you can't see a lot of what they were doing because, like, there's that one sequence, all the flashing, like, colors and stuff. I completely agree.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. That person didn't bother me, but there was a lot going on. But nothing really jumped up to me as having any kind of major issue with that because I was just loving it.
No, it's still very good. No, that's not to say it's bad.
Yeah.
The slide that Todoroki just does for, like, a good, like, 10 seconds was like the cleanest shot in the entire movie, though. I was like, that's hard. I loved that.
How about the fact that this movie gives you a fake out in terms of the final battle?
Yeah. Oh, that was like crazy because I thought the final battle was just him gonna be punching him, and then like that giant monster happens, and I was like, oh, because we're still going.
Because they had said something about Anna's power like being uncontrollable once it goes too far, and I'm like, wait, what about that? Because
I forgot about that.
Her hair was still like almost entirely black, and so I had it in the back of my mind. But yeah, that like him punching him a ton did feel very final. It does a good job of faking you out for sure.
Because I remember...
I like that, though.
Yeah, I remember, Finn, you were actually messaging me when you were watching the movie the first time, and you were... Mm-hmm. And there got to a specific moment where you went, okay, yeah, Final Battle was good, but not as good as, like, Heroes Rising. And then you went, never mind, fake out!
Yeah, I was like, fight's not over.
Yeah. No, it was... I just remember you going, wait, it's not over yet.
No, we're not done.
And then you went, okay.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. But yeah, I will say, like, after seeing it a second time, I think I was too overhyped on it. It is still very good, though. Do not get me wrong on that.
Yeah. I understand that. I really need to go and rewatch it because my first viewing, it's just, I absolutely loved this movie. I probably, of all four of us that went to see it, of Jonah, me, you, Keaton, and my little brother Luke, of all four of us, me and Luke, I think are definitely higher on it than the two of you were.
Sure.
Yes, because I try to put out recency bias, and I remember going out of that movie and saying, okay, I definitely like the second one better. I definitely like the second one better.
Mm-hmm. I was the same way.
Once again, that is not in no way saying that I did not thoroughly enjoy this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like there's not much else to say about it. It's a pretty simple movie to go over, even though we've probably been talking about it for a good little bit. But all the characters are handled great, action's great, villains are great. Like, just about everything in this movie, I think, is handled so well.
What would your score for this movie be?
Well, that's
final scores.
Yeah, final score time. So I'm gonna end up going first on this. So even I've sat on it for probably a good almost week now. As of this moment, I would have to say it is my favorite of the four movies. It's just, collectively, there's just so much. I think the second movie has some of the better moments, but I also think when I compare these two, it also has some of my personal least favorite parts of both of them, which isn't even saying it's bad. I still give the second movie, like, I'm going to spoil my score for what I give that movie when we eventually review it, but I probably would have to give that movie a 10. Just because the good moments are just so good where I don't even mind some of the parts that I don't enjoy as much, which is just, again, primarily those kids. But with this movie, sure, it doesn't have any of the best moments of any of the four movies, but it also doesn't have anything that really jumped out to me as something I really didn't like. And it had enough hype moments where I was just I was having such a fun time with this movie. I'll just go in like my final score. I'm gonna go in for right now. First viewing, I'm gonna have to say a 10 because it's my favorite it's my favorite of all four movies. That could obviously end up changing, and I've obviously sat on it for a while, but there wasn't anything that jumped out to me as me having a major problem with it. Yeah, the movie's not perfect, but it's one of those cases where I'll acknowledge it has faults. I'll acknowledge it has faults, but if it doesn't personally bother me, then it's like I'm not gonna let it affect my personal score. So I'll say a 10 out of 10 for me. I personally really love this movie.
Sure.
Let's see, which you would like to go next?
I'll take it. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking. So I mean, I have things that I would say maybe bump it down a tiny bit, but it's still the number that I had in mind. I think is about right. I had a number going in, and I think it's about right. I'm gonna say 9.3 is what I'm going to say.
Okay, same thing you gave Deadpool and Wolverine.
Great.
That's probably about right.
So the first viewing, it was like a 10. The second viewing, it was a 9.5 out of 10. And my only reason for that is because of the dub. And now, again, I'm not crapping on anybody that likes the dub. I get it. I'm a dub watcher as well. But I watch sub as well. It's just, I think the sub does so many things better than the dub. So I had to bring it down because of that. Not to say that the voice acting is bad, though, because the voice acting is great in both. But there were just some key Easter eggs and moments where I was like, this is so much better here than it is here. So that's really my only reasoning for having it that way. Yeah, and I would say it's probably my second favorite of the 4 movies.
All right, yeah, that's fair. Well, I believe that is going to have to do it for our review of My Hero Academia You're Next. And we will be doing reviews of the individual seasons of the show a little bit later. We will, of course, also be doing reviews for the other 3 movies in the coming months. We'll see. But
yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course. And we'll obviously be doing some more videos with you in the future. We're obviously going to be doing a bracket one right after this. And absolutely loved having you on here. We'll definitely be sure to have you on for some of the future My Hero reviews when we're getting to those.
For sure.
But
thank you.
Please feel free to let us know what you guys thought of the movie down below in the comments. And then, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you all next time. See you, webheads.
Bye.